Yo family, it is your weekly outlook prediction for stocks and crypto. This video is not financial advice, should not be taken as such. If we get this week right, it is going to be a 3P as the last 2 weeks in a row. We got all candles right for AMC, GME, and SPY. Let's go ahead and show you guys what is going on as traders and investors. This video is not financial advice. Now, AMC, GME, we're also going to be looking at crypto as well. SPY. Let's pop in with AMC. Guys, we got this nasty pop to the upside, holding at $3 here on Friday after the major news dropped. Taylor Swift is going to be coming. Now, I might even go out to the theaters the night that this happens. I might even go out there, see how packed it is. People are already reporting that the tickets are selling out fast. This is going to be happening October 3rd, ladies and gentlemen. October 3rd also happens to be the same date that GME does the recording for the warrants, and shorts will either have to have shares or close their short positions, which I explained in a previous video, which I dropped on Friday. Ladies and gentlemen, again, that is just speculation on that date. Obviously, we do not want to give dates around here, but that is the date that we are going to be recorded for GME shares. Everyone has to have their shares to get the warrants, and I broke all that down on why that's important in that video. Make sure you guys check that out. But we also have this Life of a Showgirl / Party of a Showgirl exclusively with AMC. Ladies and gentlemen, you already know the Swifties are going to turn out and turn up, and they are going to be there in droves, and the numbers are going to be good. And just like I said in my predictions on my videos, the IRL videos, when I go out to AMC, that not only this earnings, but next earnings is going to be good. Q3 earnings are going to be good, ladies and gentlemen. So we are looking up from here, and I'm expecting AMC to go up to at least $3.05, $3.10 this week. If we are able to get up to 310 and hold that level, you could see a nice deep pop to the upside, but we got to be careful right now because RSI is overbought on multiple time frames, 2-hour time frame, 4-hour time frame. RSI is getting overbought. Now on the daily time frame, we have room to run, but we are outside of the bands. I think what we're going to see is a little bit of pullback in the beginning of the week, but we're going to continue up. Now, if I'm wrong and we're able to get above 310 in the early of the week, then we're going to pop. But I think we're going to see a little bit of pullback and then move up. But ultimately, I still think we're going to see a green week here for AMC. Now, remember, I called for a green week last week and the week before that. We got all the weeks right, and we're trying to get this three-peat. I think we're going to see another green week here for AMC, which means AMC has to close above the level of $3, which I think is going to be doing it. In fact, it has to close above 301, and I think we're going to be doing that. I think we're going to be moving up. I think we're going to be able to continue to the upside, in my personal opinion. But first, we're probably going to see a little bit of pullback. So if you guys see a little bit of pullback, don't worry. Don't get discouraged. We might come back down to like 295, 290, but we're going to hold that level and push up. Now, if AMC is able to hold $3 here on Monday and keep pushing up towards 305 and 310, then we could literally start to blast off here, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I don't see anything here just crazy in the options chain coming up for the options that we have here for either AMC or GME. But one thing I am noticing here for AMC and GME, we're starting to see spikes in cost to borrow. You guys can see cost to borrow coming to the upside here for AMC. Again, it's not huge, but we want cost to borrow to be 1% or higher. That makes it harder for them to get shares. It makes it more costly for them to get shares, and that's going to alleviate some of that bearish pressure that we tend to see when we start to move up and they dump short shares. Also, another thing that AMC has been able to do and GME is able to do as of lately, they've been getting decent volume. You guys can see 56 million shares traded here on Friday, and that volume helps override when they dump the short shares, letting us get these nice movements to the upside. So that's why we're seeing that. We're also seeing GME get nice volume as well here. So both of the meme stocks are starting to get volume. They're starting to push up. AMC really impressive here with this 56 million here in this one day. I think we're going to see a continuation to the upside based off everything I'm seeing, but we might need to pull back or consolidate before that happens. So this week's going to probably start off a little bit slow, but it's going to pick up in the later half of the week, kind of like this week kind of started off slow, but then AMC boomed in the later half of the week. I think we're feeling the same thing this week, and I think we're going to see a green week for AMC, at least 310 in my personal opinion. If we're able to break and hold 310, you're going to see a nice pop to the upside here for AMC, so keep that in mind. GameStop keeps trading into the gap fill, and I think it's going to continue to into the gap fill. Gap fill actually starts at 26.50, where more calls will go on the money if we do push to the upside. Gap fill ends at 28.47, but then we have another gap fill to the upside as well, right here around 29.42, all the way up to 29.65. I think GameStop's going to continue into this gap fill, continue moving to the upside. You actually can see here on the daily time frame, we're just under overbought here for GME, as GME has been pushing. Also, you guys can see RSI is trending down here a little bit here, so I think we have a little bit of room to run here on the 4-hour time frame. On the 2-hour time frame, you guys can see we have a little bit of room to run as GME has pushed up and now been consolidating. I think what we're going to see is a continuation to the upside as we get closer and closer to this October 3rd date. I think we're going to see more and more buying pressure, which is what we have been seeing. You guys can see we've been in this basically consolidation period where GME's been bottoming off of these lows and then getting bought back up. I think we're going to see a continuation of that. I think GME is going to be able to hold $26, and as long as we hold $26, we're going to move towards that $26.50 level. And if we get into that $26.50 level, that's where GME will really start to be able to run. And I think we could even start to get close to $30 here before even the warrants will come into play. Again, that recorded date is October 3rd, but the warrants won't get delivered till later around October 7th. So be aware of that. And then, of course, nobody wants to exercise the warrants if the price isn't over $32, because the warrants are getting exercised at the price of $32. That means you'll get shares at $32 if you exercise your warrants. Again, for every 10 shares of GameStop, you're going to be receiving a warrant. So that's how that's going to be working. I think shorts are having to buy, which I broke down in that video. They're having to buy shares. They're having to either hedge. If they're short, they have to buy shares. That way they can deliver the warrants, because if you have shares lent out, you have to deliver warrants to the people that you have shares lent out to, which I broke down in that video. I'm not going to break that down here. But because of that, we're seeing increased buying pressure. And then, of course, after the warrants go into effect, we can see that double squeeze type action that we talked about here on this, because they can trigger buying pressure on the stock itself, which it's already doing. And then if people start exercising, we start pushing up, which does cause dilution. There is some downsides to it, but again, that could still cause price movement to the upside. So this is looking very, very good for GME. GME is looking very, very bullish. Also, both of the meme stocks fundamentally changing, beating earnings, especially GME and AMC recently here. They absolutely crushed earnings. They absolutely did big numbers. And if we see a continuation of that, you're just going to see continued upside, because the short thesis is literally destroyed, ladies and gentlemen. So if there's ever been a time to be hopeful about things and have a bright future, it's actually now for the meme stocks, because not only the fundamentals are looking good, but the technicals are looking good as well. So GameStop might be able to just hold 26 here and push up based off what I'm seeing, but be careful. Again, like I said, the week might start slow. We might need to consolidate or pull back a little bit before we see a movement to the upside. But I think GME is also going to be closing above 26.08, giving GME a green week and giving AMC a green week. So I'm going green week for AMC and GME. And remember, guys, I want to get this one right, because if so, then I get my first ever three-peat, which has been recording anyways. I've probably done it before, but every week I give you guys candle prints, and if I get this one right, it's going to be a three-peat. So we're going to see if we get that green week for AMC and GME. Fundamentals and technicals showing we're going to move to the upside. If GameStop can break above 26.50, you're going to see a nice push to the upside. And if AMC can break and hold 310, you're going to see a nice pop to the upside as well. Remember, it might start off a little bit slow. We might need to pull back a little bit. RSI is hot, and we are outside the bands, but I think we're going to make higher lows and move up. But it really looks like we're ready to take off on both of the stocks right now. It looks like AMC is going to be able to hold 3 and push up, and GameStop's going to be able to hold 26 and push up. So that's what we're looking at for the meme stocks. Let's go ahead and move into SPY, the overall market, show you guys what's going on there. Now, we have some major data drops coming into play this week. We have GDP, all right, that's going to be huge. Durable goods as well, that's going to be huge. And we also have a Fed Chair Powell speech here on Tuesday, so get ready for that. I will be streaming it as long as it's able to be found, which they normally are. I will be streaming that and breaking that down, recording that for you guys. And then durable goods, so that's going to be happening on Tuesday. Then we got durable goods. Then we got GDP exiting home sales. And then on Friday, we got core PCE, personal income, and personal spending month to month, which kind of shows how the consumer is doing. It looks like it's going to come out decent, but a little bit lower. The main thing is going to be that GDP. And GDP, based off of the previous being obviously a negative, it looks like the consensus is going to come out about 3.3. And that's going to be higher, so that's going to be pretty much bullish in my personal opinion, and that's going to help SPY get its green week. Now, I do think SPY is going to see a green week pushing up towards 665. 664.55, but ladies and gentlemen, you have to be careful because I think we're going to top out soon, believe it or not. We're in a big rising wedge here on NASDAQ. I think NASDAQ, again, like the meme stocks, might have to pull back a little bit because we're overbought here on the 4-hour time frame, and then we're overbought here on like the daily time frame, and the weekly time frames we're getting hot as well. You guys can see we're overbought, and this is on SPY as well. So I think we're going to top out here soon, and I know people don't believe that, but I think what we're going to see is a correction. Now, that doesn't mean we can't continue up after the correction, but I think we are going to see a correction here soon because we're just getting way too overbought and way too frothy right now. We're in this overall uptrend, but NASDAQ's in that rising wedge. I think this rising wedge is going to top out soon, and that's going to pull us back. Also, we have multiple gap fills to the downside that has to be addressed, but I think SPY is going to be able to see one more green week in my personal opinion. It's had a ton of green weeks in a row, so hopefully I do get this one right because it is going to be absolutely crazy because SPY has had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 green weeks in a row. So again, I think we're going to see one more green week in a row, but I think we're going to see a correction after that in my personal opinion as we are getting overbought on multiple time frames. I think 665 is on the cards here for SPY. If it's able to hold that and use that as support and push up from there, you could see a decent pop to the upside, but I think that we're going to need to consolidate and pull back maybe a little bit, so that it's going to be hard to maybe even get to that level. We will see if SPY is able to stay above the key level of 662.42. As long as it stays above that, it should be able to push to the upside. We might have to come back down and retest that, but it looks like based off what I'm seeing here, you're probably going to actually push up even more because the market's really just on a tear right now. There's a lot of excitement, a lot of exuberance, but we got to be careful because if you look at market fear and greed, you guys can see that the market fear and greed is starting to move into the greed territories and even almost heading towards extreme greed, like almost halfway through greed. Again, you want to be fearful when others are greedy and be greedy when others are fearful. So this is another indication that we might be getting near a top here for SPY, where we'll see a decent correction. That doesn't mean we can't head up after that correction, but I think a correction is on the cards here soon, and I want to make that known because I did call every single major correction on the way up that we have seen here for the overall market on NASDAQ and SPY. So I think we're going to see one more green week. Again, just remember the data drops, but I called this correction here. I called this with the rising wedge and then the bearish divergence, RSI trending down, price trending up. We called that correction there. We also called this correction here, this one here. So we've called these major pullbacks to the downside for SPY and NASDAQ. So make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe. And I do go live during market hours as well. So we're looking at one more green week for SPY. Apple, not doing too good after that iPhone 17 drop. Again, iPhone 17 still getting some hype, but we need Apple to stay above the key level of 236.88. If it starts to lose that, we could see a pullback. And then Nvidia is another major mover in the market as well. If that starts to pull back, that would definitely start to pull SPY back and NASDAQ as well. Nvidia having some gap fills to the downside. So this is what we're looking at for SPY in the overall market. I do think we're going to see a green week. Let's go ahead and move into cryptocurrency and the overall crypto market, show you guys what's going on there, and then we'll wrap up this video. So we do need to see Bitcoin bounce. We need to see it back above 115,700. That is a very, very, very key level that we need to see Bitcoin stay above, or we're going to end up having to play out with this fractal, which is not what I want to see. I don't want to see Bitcoin have to follow this fractal where we see a pullback down, but that could still be on the cards. Now, if we did see a pullback down, you guys can see we're actually moving here. We're neutral right now. We're actually moving into fear. If we were to drop down, we would definitely go into fear. Again, be greedy when others are fearful, be fearful when others are greedy, do the opposite of the herd. So you guys will see that if we did move into that fear section, that would most likely put us into a buying opportunity. Also, you're seeing institutions buy. We're seeing movement forward with XRP ETFs, Dogecoin ETFs, other ETFs outside of just Bitcoin and Ethereum. So we're seeing more progress, and it's really a fake shakeout right now because cryptocurrencies, especially some of the top coins, like especially Bitcoin, they have fixed caps. You can't make any more of them. So you have to think of it as the mind of an institution. Retail really did get in before institutions right now. And right now they're all struggling and scrambling to get in, believe it or not, because they were actually late to the game on this one. So Bitcoin has a fixed set amount, and there's only so much there. So they literally have to make you sell it because they can't print more. They can't dilute it like other aspects. So this is why Bitcoin, XRP also has a max total supply, but it's a huge amount. Coins like Cardano ADA have a max total supply. So they literally need to shake you out of these coins because they cannot create more of these coins. So again, key coins like Cardano ADA, XRP, of course, Ethereum and other top coins, but Ethereum doesn't have that. It has a burn rate and another mechanism, which does make it deflationary. But I'm not going to really break that down. You definitely want coins with max supplies, though, in my personal opinion, because those provide scarcity. So again, we want to see Bitcoin get back above 115,700. If it does, that's going to give us a lot of confirmation that we're most likely going to move up, and it looks like we are going to see a push up here. Right now we've really just been like stalled out here on all of the cryptos. Ethereum, Cardano ADA really just stalled out. We're kind of pushing up after a little bit of a drop down where we've been consolidating, but for the most part I really don't see us flushing down. In my personal opinion, we keep getting bought up. You guys can see all these buy orders here for Bitcoin, and that's the same for all of the coins. If you look at coins like XRP, every time we come down to these lows, they're getting bought up. So this leads me to believe that whales are literally accumulating. Big money is literally accumulating, and the market is literally being manipulated to consolidate. You guys can see all of these sell orders here. They're trying to keep it in between, like XRP in between the range of $3.10 and $3. So if you are looking at XRP or something like that, not financial advice, this is where smart money is buying. They're buying at $2.99. They're buying at $3. They're accumulating around $3.10 to $3. It looks like basically everything is trying to be held at a range and being manipulated as they're scrambling to catch up. So I think crypto market is looking good in my personal opinion. If you did see a flush out, that would be a huge buying opportunity. If you look at things like the Bitcoin rainbow chart, you guys can see that we're in the accumulation zones and in the buy zones right now. You can match that up with the colors here. You guys can see that we're in the buy section right now. So literally if we pulled back, it's even more of a buy. I think we have room to the upside. I do not think the crypto bull run is over. We're seeing bullish legislation, like I said, coming out all the time for crypto. Crypto is being adopted by the industries. We're seeing ETFs come out for XRP, Dogecoin. So in my personal opinion, I think this is going to continue. And basically I broke it down, like the whole fundamental system of fiat money is broken, and they're going to move the old system out, and crypto is going to be the new system, ladies and gentlemen. So this is why everybody's adopting it now. This is why they told you they were going to ban it. Really, everyone was buying. This is why they are doing what they're doing now, trying to shake people out, because they can't print more of this stuff. It's finite. And in my personal opinion, accumulating crypto is one of the best things you can do for your future, especially with the deteriorating value of the US dollar. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your weekly outlook and prediction for stocks and crypto. I think key coins like Bitcoin are going to push up. We want to see it get back above 115,700. I think we are going to see that push. And then when we do see that, you're going to see Cardano ADA, Ethereum, your favorite altcoins start to move up as well. XRP, I don't think we're going to see that flush out to the downside, in my personal opinion. I think we're actually about to recover, and we'll probably recover here around Monday or Tuesday with the overall stock market. This is your weekly outlook and prediction for stocks and crypto. If you found this video informative, please drop a like, hit subscribe, leave a comment down below. I appreciate you if you're watching to the end right now. So hopefully people watch to the end, and that helps me out immensely with the algorithm, so I appreciate that a lot. And again, if you want to help for free, just share. But I also have some DZ merch. I recently did a post about the DZ merch. Also, I want to shout out the homie Zach C, man. I appreciate you. I'm going to shout you out on the live stream as well, but you dropped a huge 50 bomb super chat, and I appreciate that. And I'm going to shout you on the live stream as well, man. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe, and as always, y'all, have fun, stay safe, make money. Peace out.